Hey, thank you for joining me. Welcome to the Vintage Sanctuary. I'm glad you're here. Made myself some notes to keep me on track. I think I'm going to call this a look back at 2025 and a look forward at 2026 for my collecting. Also, pouncing on the Pee-Puddle Pytlak. I will explain what that means. It's very scientific. I'm going to try to do all of this, keep it tight, respect your time. So let me turn this camera around and let's do it. All right, let's start with pouncing on the Pee-Puddle Pytlak. So many of you know I'm working on the 38 Gouty set with cartoons, and just today this came in the mail. Frank Pytlak. And let's check out the cartoon, shall we? Handles pictures smartly. What an arm, love that big arm. What an arm, very few of the opposition get fancy when Pity's doing his stuff behind the bat. He's a catcher. Maston Park High School got his early baseball training here in Buffalo, New York. And then he's a little fellow, but oh my, Frank Pytlak, pitcher for the Indians. And he was 5'7.5". That's why they say he was a little guy. There's the back. I just think this is really, really nice. Why am I calling this the Pee-Puddle Pytlak? I learned this from Dylan, Double D. Both him and I are collecting all 24 with cartoons. Looks like Pytlak has a pea puddle down there. So let me explain. Let me turn this camera around and explain. All right. You never know where the Pytlak investors are out there, the Pytlak pumpers and dumpers. Do you know where they're at? I don't either, so you can't be too safe. So when the Pee-Puddle Pytlak comes up for sale, you gotta pounce, man. You gotta pounce on the Pee-Puddle Pytlak. Woo! Yeah, woohoo! You gotta pounce on that puppy before somebody else does, and that's exactly what I did. The seller had it at $140 or $145. I think it was $145 was the minimum bid, but it was at auction, and there was a best offer. I reached out and offered him like $146 and change, so that with the shipping it came to an even dollar amount, and said, hey, really need this for my set. I'm getting close. And I pounced on the Pee-Puddle Pytlak and got it before those pesky Pytlak investors. Pesky Pytlak pumper and dumpers. And so here it is. Here it is. And I think it's just absolutely stunning. And this is number 21 out of the 24 that I need. I don't know exactly where Dylan's at. He could be a little behind me, but hey, you never know with Dylan. Double D Vintage Baseball Cards. He might have finished it up. He could. You never know. You never know what that wonderful person is up to. My collecting brothers. Okay, so a look back at 2025. For the most part, 2025 was about this 38 Gouty with cartoon set. I'm now up to 21 out of 24, which is 7/8 of the way there. I only have 3 cards to go, but in 2025, I actually picked up 19 out of the 21 that I have at present. Now, that also included a DiMaggio upgrade, so let me just kind of briefly show you some of the big ones, some of the big boys that I picked up this year. So I quote unquote upgraded my DiMaggio from I had a PSA one that was a poor one, but I upgraded to this pristine one. Woohoo! Oh yeah. So, that was a big expense. I was able to leverage the one that I had already, the PSA one. So, of course, that paid for most of this, but that was a big expense. But really glad I upgraded. I think this card is just so outstanding. So that, of course, was, one of the 19 that I added this year. And then the other big boys were Ernie Lombardi and Hank Greenberg. This is the one I got at the National in a Too Good to Be 2. Hank Greenberg. And Bobby Dorr in a Vintage Greatness 3. Got this at the National this year as well. And Al Lopez of the Bees, the Boston Bees, got this at the National as well. And Charlie Gehringer got this one on eBay. Got a fantastic deal on this one. So those are some of the big ones I got this year. So 2025 was really primarily about the 38 Gaudi set with cartoons. Now, that doesn't surprise me because if you're operating on a budget, and you know, pretty much all of us are, it's just some of us have budgets that are bigger than others. But you know, whether it's $100 a month, you know, 500 a month, 10 grand a month, it's still a budget of sorts. When operating on a budget, these things take time. So I guess I'm just kind of realizing, you know, it takes time to make progress. However, for 2026, I want to finish up this set. I've only got 3 to go. And my goal is to finish the set, find 3 graded cards with cartoons that I like. Let's see, what do I have left here? Let me look at my notes. I need number 267, Joe Cool. I'm going to call him Target Man. There's a big Target as one of the cartoons. By the way, there's an example on eBay right now. Seems to be maybe priced a little high. I just don't necessarily have the bucks right now. I've been buying some other stuff, but I might just go ahead and buy that if it's still available within the next, few weeks. Then there's number 272, Dick Bartell. I'll call him Octopus Man. There's a wonderful cartoon of an octopus on there. And number 286, Ducky Medwick. I guess I'll call him Duckman. Easy to remember. So those are the 3 that I need, and I really want to complete that set. So that's a goal for 2026, and I think it's very likely that I will complete the set. Hopefully even early in 2026, within the first quarter, let's say, of 2026. That would be great. Now there are certain projects I have, of course, such as 38 Gaudi with cartoons. However, I think a change for 2026, so now we're transitioning here, thinking about 2026, I'm less likely to work toward player run completions or Hall of Fame set completions, and more likely to simply get those cards that bring me the most joy, those cards that I like the most. I guess what I've realized, like there were certain players, for example, Willie Mays, I wanted to do his Topps run, but there are certain cards of his I just don't care for that much. Most notably 1971 Topps. Love 71 Topps, but that image of him, I think they did him wrong on that card. So, vintage cards have just become, or cards, the cards that I collect anyway, have became, just too expensive to be buying cards that I don't really like or don't bring me joy. Heck, even if they were cheap, why collect cards that don't bring me joy? So I don't see myself going after, player runs. If I'm just going to get the cards that I like of that player, maybe even the ones, the handful that I like the most. We'll see how that plays out. Same with sets. I had kind of an idea I would do some Hall of Fame runs for sets, and I don't see myself doing that, unless I really like every card. Now, here's an example where I do. The 1952 Bowman. I actually like every 1952 Bowman card. Let me see. Let me just pause this for a second. All right, I'm back. I had to find my 52 Bowman Willie Mays. I knew it was, I had pulled it out, but I wasn't sure exactly. I couldn't find it, but I found it. So 52 Bowman, to me, it's like the ultimate vintage art set, and I want to do all of the Hall of Famers. So there's a set where I do want to complete a Hall of Fame run, and I've got the 2 big boys here, which I've shown before. This mantle, which I think is just so incredibly choice and vibrant. I think this is a real gem right here. And so I've got the mantle, and I've got the maze, and here comes the maze in a Too Good to Be 2. Check out that color and registration there. Really sweet. And little, just tiny bits of paper loss on the back. That's perfect. Just perfect when you've got a front that looks like that. You know, I feel like I need to put the mantle over here because mantle's kind of looking in the one direction and May's in the other, so have them kind of facing each other there. So I really want to get the Musial. Now, here's the deal. Getting the Musial out of 52 Bowman, that was, you know, that was a big goal for this year, but that was the card that I failed to get that I really wanted. Came close, but just didn't make it happen. So this, and I keep seeing that thing kind of go up in value. It's like arg. But anyway, I really want to get that card for two reasons. One is because what I see myself doing in 2026 is for players that I really like, such as Stan Musial, is just looking at, you know, what are the one or two or maybe three cards of his that I do not have that I really want, and trying to pick up one of those. Well, the top of that list would be the 52 Bowman Stan Musial as a card I don't have that I really, really want. But then the second reason would be if I get the 52 Bowman Stan Musial, you know, that moves me forward in my 52 Bowman Hall of Fame run, and I will have the three M's, the three big M's from that set: Mantle, Musial, and Mays. So yeah, that's a top target for 2026. It was for 2025, but I failed, but that's okay. I live to collect another year. Woohoo! So I really want the Musial. Now, what other Musials do I want? I'm just using, you know, him as an example. This is not going to be a comprehensive video because it would take hours, but if we just look at a player like Stan Musial, there are three cards that are on the top of my Stan Musial list, and one would be his 52 Bowman, as mentioned, whoops, and then another would be his 53 Bowman color, not as high, but also, you know, one that if I just got that one, I would consider it to be a success for 2026. Actually, I really want that 52 Bowman, but, you know, getting the 53 Bowman color, that would be a high priority Stan Musial card as well. And the third would be this card right here. I want to upgrade it. Now, actually, I like this card. If I don't like a card, I tend to sell it or trade it, and then, or give it away if there's somebody that I think will like it. And then I will, you know, I won't keep it until I get an upgrade, but I kind of like this card. It's got a lot of crinkles, a lot of wrinkles, but they could have been, you know, they shrink wrapped these, I think, or wrapped them onto the cellophane tobacco pouches. So this could have happened during that process. But yeah, I really like this card. I mean, I'm speaking out of both sides of my mouth now because I want to upgrade it. But at the same time, I like the example I have well enough so that I'm not letting it go. So I guess this is an exception where I'm keeping the one I have until I upgrade. So I'd really like to upgrade this 52 Red Man with tab. I've got the 53, which is just, it's a 3, and it's just absolutely stunning. So, you know, I'd like to upgrade that 52 to go with the 53, and then, you know, either sell, or I think I know possibly the perfect home for that 52. A fellow collector that would love it in, you know, in its present condition. So again, trying to give you some examples here. Let's see, moving down my list. All right, the 62 Judge. Let's go ahead and move on to my 62 Judge parallels. So many of you know that I collect 2022 Topps Aaron Judge parallels, and I wanted to get 62 to honor his 62 home run season. So let me just show a couple of examples. This is the green refractor out of 99, and this is the blue refractor out of 150. It took me a long time to find that one. Now, most of these I got a couple years ago, or, you know, whatever, you know, a year and a half, 2 years ago, or a little bit ago, where I didn't have to pay as much. Now they're becoming more expensive. I've got over 62 parallels. I think I'm at 64 now, and I picked up a few 2023 cards that I think also commemorate his wonderful home run record. So where am I at on this collection? Well, I don't really see myself adding a lot. Just maybe every now and then, they've went up in value. So I don't necessarily want to spend a ton on these, but every now and then, if one comes along at the right price, I'm going to go ahead and grab it and continue to add to that collection. I love these speckle refractors, the magenta speckle refractor. I think that's out of 350. Yep, out of 350. And then the purple speckle out of 299. Anyway, I happen to have another Judge Parallel that is a monster. So that's kind of a teaser. So that's coming. So the Judge collection, just adding one every now and then. So I may not add many at all this year. These I'll just go ahead and show. These are hot off the presses. I've shown them before, but out of 50, the gold refractor Allen and Ginter 2025. And I got the Ohtani as well. So what's up with that? Well, I want to add a little Ohtani to my collection. He's just such an epic player, but I'm not going to go too crazy. I've shown this one before, the vintage stock out of 99, and these all have the loopy vintage Topps logo. And that's from 2025. And then this card that I'm about to show, I have not shown. It was roughly $100-ish bucks or a few more dollars, but not much more. It's got the loopy Topps vintage logo as well on the vintage stock. So the vintage stock out of 99. For Ohtani, I like his hitting cards rather than his pitching cards, but this is a pitching card, but I just think that's an epic, epic image there. Woohoo! So there's a couple of Ohtani. So what's my goal with Ohtani? Not to get crazy. This year, if I don't add any more Ohtanis, that would be all right. Although I wouldn't mind adding a few, but nothing crazy. I'll pick my spots. I thought this as an example, it was like less than 110 bucks for just an outstanding card. I really like the vintage stock, really appeals to me, brings me joy. Out of 99, 100 bucks, Ohtani, limited, gorgeous card. Woohoo! I just think, oh yeah, can't beat that. And then, I'm not sure if I've shown both of these, so I know I've shown this one, but I think I've shown both these, but here's a couple of Judge vintage stock out of 99 there. Okay, am I a type collector? Well, I would say I collect the types that, fit my budget, bring me joy, that I guess are priorities that I really want. So a type collector would typically go after cards of, all of these different types. So I guess in that sense, maybe I'm not really a type collector, but I'm just going after the types that I really like. This is one of them. This is Larry Doby with tab, the Hires Root Beer. And I am a tab snob, not just tend to be. I am a tab snob. If the card comes with a tab, I want the tab. Although I will confess, for this set, without the tab, it really makes a nice looking card. So, maybe if I were going after Hank Aaron, Willie Mays, I'm a tab snob. I'd probably have to have the tab. But here's this Larry Doby. I think this might be the best looking image to me of the entire set. I just got a steal on this some time ago. So there's the back. So this represents, what does this card represent? Well, it's Larry Doby, one of the players I like to collect. By the way, he is, look it up, the first, yes, he integrated the American League, but he is the first black professional basketball player, which is pretty crazy. So there's a first for Larry Doby. Big Larry Doby fan. So this represents both a wonderful card for my Larry Doby collection, which is just getting the ones that bring me joy, fit my budget, but also a type card. It allows me to have a 58 Hires Root Beer with tab, which is, just something that I had always wanted once I realized they were out there and realized how much they appeal to me. Here's another example of just a wonderful Larry Doby card. I've shown it before for my collection, the Dandy. This thing is just, a fantastic four, way too fantastic for being in a bag of potato chips. Just crazy. Maybe they forgot to oil those chips. I love the Indian logo there. So this card represents a wonderful card for my, for my Larry Doby collection, but also a type card. It's a card, having a card from the Dan D set, which I think is really cool. Who knows if I'll get other cards from Dan D or Hires Root Beer, but I do like to get some types that I like. Now, why am I showing the following card? Just because I've been wanting to show it. So, yeah, my Musial rookie in a Vintage Greatness 3. That's a hair or something. Let's get that off there. Look at that. We can just meditate on that. How sweet is that? You know what this deserves. Woohoo! Oh yeah, man, this thing is sweet. Woo! All right, so that's just because I wanted to show it. There it is. All right, let's see. What have I not covered? Oh yeah, let's talk about modern a little bit. Now, when it comes to modern, I think I'm going to stick to, like maybe picking up an Aaron Judge or two, or an Ohtani or two. I'm not going to do. I've decided I'm not going to do too many vintage players on modern cards just because, that's not really a priority for me. However, there will be, some exceptions, and here's one right here. Let me take these one at a time. I've shown these before, but the Topps Gilded out of 50 mini diamonds. This is the 2022 inaugural year, Ted Williams. Man, oh man, that's number 1 of 50. That's the alpha. Woo-hoo! And let's see, 2023, another Gem Mint 10. The investors are salivating. And a 2024, also in a Gem Mint 10. Yeah, I got a couple of these in a Gem Mint 10, and then I'm like, yeah, I want the third one to be in a Gem Mint 10. But what about 2025? I think probably what I'll do is I'm not going to go crazy. I'm just going to wait for one to come to me that's already been graded, and if it's a 9, that's fine. I don't know, I may not take an 8 just because these are 10s. Not that I can tell the difference anyway, but yeah, I love these cards. I love having them. I'm just seeing myself being very selective about, modern cards that I pick up that are of vintage players, because that's not really a big priority for me. All right, I think we're kind of getting close to the end. Oh yeah, another card, another Hall of Fame set. I really want to work on the 56 Topps Hall of Fame set. I'm not sure how much traction I'll make this year. Maybe I'll put more effort into the 52 Bowman Hall of Fame set, but I have almost none of these and I want to work on it, and I want them all to be white backs because I love the white backs. This one is super sweet and superior. Ooh, it is too. It's got the 4 fuzzy cuts on all four sides. Just fantastic. So I would really love to have the white back Mickey Mantle, and that's a big card. Would like to get that this year. The white back Willie Mays I have, but there's a corner that kind of not really bringing me the most joy, but I love it enough where I'm not letting go of it until I get a replacement. So I'd like to upgrade my Willie Mays. I'd like to get the Mickey Mantle, which I had before but got rid of because it had a big crinkle, which was more like a freaking mountain on it. It was crazy. I mean, it was a nice card, but it had something that just bugged me. So, at some point I sold it and got something else. So yeah, I don't know how much progress I'll make in 2026, but 2 sets where I want Hall of Fame runs, 56 Topps, white back, and 52 Bowman. All right, one more thing I'd like to mention. I think this is pretty much the end. Again, this is not comprehensive. There's more I could say, but just wanted to kind of give you a sense. One thing I did last year is I picked up this Wilt Chamberlain, and you could go back and look in the video, but oh man, screaming gorgeous Wilt. You know how tough these are probably to find centered. Now, I think that's pretty nice centering for this issue. Really nice, recently graded 4, just stunning. The reason I'm showing this Jordan is because I traded one of my Star Jordans essentially to get the Wilt. And so this card represents, I mean, hey, this is a card I've always wanted. So that could happen in 2026 or 2027 or 2028. There's just some card that really, really appeals to me, whether or not I necessarily collect that player, as far as getting several of their cards. It's just a card that I find to be, really iconic, or just something that I really personally want. So that could happen in 2026 or beyond. And so that's just an example. And then this, of course, is not the Jordan I traded. This is, I only have 3 Jordan Star cards left. This is one of them. This is so nice. I know, you can tell, obviously, that the centering could be better, but this is pretty par for the course for this card. But I tell you what, the lack of chipping is absolutely outstanding, especially with those red borders. This is a really, really, really nice copy of this card. So this is the Jordan rookie, or subset rookie, whatever you want to call it, the one that I think is the nicest among the regular sized cards. So, this is the one that I plan to hang on to. It's crazy because it's worth like 5x what I paid, which is just crazy. So I'm glad I got into it when I did. Often this 195 is cut into. If mine was, I'd say no big deal, but because it's not, I say, oh yeah. Oh yeah, man, we got to wrap this up. So I hope that gives you, a pretty good sense. Basically, I'm kind of let me turn this around. So yeah, I've got some, players that I like to collect, but not necessarily complete runs. Although who knows, I know this is a Bowman card, but with Willie Mays, I could end up with his 1950s Topps run. And I think that's a pretty cool completion. But yeah, I've got some, some projects I'm working on, but for the most part, I have sort of a Zen approach, which is let the cards come to me, and I will look through my collection periodically and say what's not bringing me sufficient joy, or what I'd rather have something else. Now, not too much comes to mind, because for the most part, I really like what I have. I think because I've been picky and pretty selective and thoughtful about what I have, so that's kind of nice. But yeah, I plan on taking a Zen approach in 2026. There are some targets I have I really want to go after. I kind of shared some of that with you, maybe the bulk of that. But beyond that, it's about having fun, letting the cards come to me, collecting with this community. I am going to do an outro with a Christmas lamp. Might keep doing that for a while. I know it's past Christmas. Some of you maybe have moved on, but for me, I think it helps to keep those post-holiday blues at bay. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Thank you, everyone, for sharing in my joy. I hope you had a wonderful and peaceful time in the Vintage Sanctuary. Take care, my collecting brothers and sisters.